first of all, thank you everybody for coming, and thanks especially to Natia for coming along to do this discussion. Natia is a commercial manager and she works at the Ministry of Justice, where you focus, I believe, on projects and procurements. So I'm going to hopefully ask Natia to explain what that means later on. But what I do know is that's a very important position and it carries a lot of responsibility. And in parallel, you also act as a magistrate, and that's a role that similarly carries a lot of responsibility. And both roles clearly require a significant amount of your time. So I know that you've had an interesting journey, and we will get into the details of your career. But as you know only too well, the path to success is not a straightforward one. So I thought that our starting point would be just to ask you if you could tell us a little bit about yourself. Who is Natia Burnett?
Who is Natia Burnett? I am from Georgia, as you can, in case you wondered where's my accent from, it's not Geordie accent, it's from Georgia. Lots of people ask.
And it's not Georgia from the United States
not
either.
From the United States either, it's Georgia as a country. So I was born in Georgia. I know I don't look that old, but my birth certificate still says Soviet Union. So Georgia was part of Soviet Union at the time. Yep. So my husband thinks it's very unique, my birth. It's like history. So,
yeah, it's quite a historical curiosity these days, isn't it?
So Georgia is now an independent country. As you know, Soviet Union doesn't exist anymore. So I went and did law degree in Georgia, and I spent about 7-8 years, pretty much all my career, working in legal systems. In Georgia, I started as a legal clerk in courts and worked my way up, and I was judge's assistant. And I also passed all qualifications I needed to become district judge. I just needed a few more years to apply, but then things changed. I met my English husband and I ended up here. So, yes.
So that's threw a spanner into the works, I guess, in terms of your career.
Yes. So I thought I was married to my work. Being a lawyer was my identity. But again, never say never. I met my English husband and I left everything behind and I came here and started all over again. It's how I met Bronwyn.
Yeah.
Long story.
Absolutely.
I think, we can address the big elephant in the room, which is you're a Georgian lawyer, correct?
Yes, I was qualified lawyer in Georgia.
And then what we can understand making the trip over to the UK because you found your husband here, but there must have been some calculation, some thought process going into how you're going to transition here. So how was that kind of process?
It was quite challenging for me because being a lawyer was my identity. I could not imagine doing anything else than being a lawyer.
Yeah.
It was just not imaginable. But then I made this difficult decision. But at the same time, it was more of curiosity to learn about English legal system.
Okay.
Because I knew exactly what I was going to do here. I had all plans. I knew I needed to. Northumbria was the only one who was doing GDL at the time. I don't know if they are still doing or they changed the name.
Yeah, so the GDL, of course, was the Graduate Diploma in Law, which is the law conversion course.
Once you have to have degree from overseas. So I sent my diploma to law society. They checked, they issue certificates. It says, we're happy. So then I went and did my law too.
So you'd had researched the route into law in England before you left Georgia, so you knew you could transition.
I knew. Because again, I was so attached and obsessed being a lawyer. I could not imagine doing anything else. So it was kind of conditioned. Yes, I'm coming, I'm leaving everything behind, but this is what I'm doing.
So what was the experience like then? So you submitted your degree from Georgia, followed GDL, and I'm guessing you started applying here for training contracts. So how did that go?
Yes, before I tell you the story about training contract and my experience is I think you might find interesting to tell a little bit more about the Georgian legal system and law. Everything is codified. You just grab the book, open, it's all statute-based, there's no case law. So I loved my time in Northumbria as a law student, but I remember it was still induction, and I had big shock when I found out there is no statutory definition of murder.
Yes.
It's all case law. I still remember it. Unlawful killing under the Queen's Peace or something
King's
like that.
Peace now with malice and forethought. Yeah.
King's Peace, yeah. I was like, it can't be right. How it's possible that there's no statutory definition. And then when I found there's no written constitution, again, it's all scattered. So yes, I really enjoyed because I was keep reflecting back and how different it was from Georgia legal system, and I still remember all these painful nights spending hours and hours reading 100 pages of case law. Yeah, it's some of the case laws can be quite
long.
But yes, as I said, I enjoyed it because it was different and I was comparing.
So you essentially did a comparative study then about English and Georgian legal systems. Is there certain things you prefer about the English legal system or the Georgian one? Certain efficiencies?
I would say, well, efficiencies is Georgian law. You grab the book,
open the book,
memorize
sort
the
it
book,
out.
and that's it. But I loved English law because there's so many varieties and it gives you rooms like case laws. Depending on which route you go, which case law you decide to apply. So it's quite interesting, and as I said, I loved every moment.
Do you like the fluidity of English law, how things are more easily able to change through appeals and rather than having to
case law and precedents, and yes, I loved it. Yeah.
Was there anything in particular that you enjoyed in your legal education in Georgia, and anything in particular that you enjoyed in your legal education in the UK, in England?
I think in Georgia it was more of novelty, first degree. It is what you don't know, you don't have anything else to compare. But I really enjoyed here because I was constantly reflecting and comparing something back. So yes, I had lots of fun, including exams, writing.
And where did you see yourself going next then after doing the GDL?
Again, when I, just to answer your question about training contract, I knew exactly what I needed to do to get law degree, legal education from here. But for whatever reason, I thought being solicitor was only route. I just needed to apply training contract and that's it, being solicitor. So I was bit obsessed about training contracts, and again, when you are especially first year, you have these people coming and advise you, tell you about training contract. It opens only once a year for special times, and if you miss a deadline, you miss a deadline. So I started applying and I did not get any. As you know, it's quite a lengthy process. It's very painful. You can't just copy and paste. If you apply to 10 different firms, they like it to be like you have to do your due diligence, you have to do research, you have to show why you are so passionate about their firm. So I spent lots of time, and it's very painful when some of the firms did not even acknowledge or say you have not been successful, you're just waiting and waiting. I don't know if this changed now.
No, nothing's changed.
Nothing changed.
Nothing's changed.
Yeah,
Sadly.
it was
Um,
painful. So yeah.
Sometimes, even if you get a successful application, they'll keep you waiting for months.
Yeah.
No response, no, we'll update you at this date.
Yeah.
It'll just be, we'll send it when we send it.
Yeah.
And that's about it. Was there a particular field of law that you were interested in, or was it just commercial?
No, it was more of family law because it's what I did in Georgia, but I was not, it don't really have much options when you start applying
Right, okay.
training contracts. I was pretty open opportunities, which never happened, but it was interesting experience.
So at what point do you think you decided to turn your attention elsewhere?
When I spent 1 week doing work experience, I'm not going to name the firm, it still exists, quite a well-known firm. It's probably best things that happened to me. I managed to secure work experience, spend whole week, 9 to 5 in this firm. And by the time I finished this work experience, I went home and I said, I don't want to be solicitor anymore.
Wow.
And this was when I started looking outside.
You mentioned that solicitor was the only kind of way forward for you. Was that influenced by maybe where you were studying? Was the only opportunity they showed you within the law career here as solicitor? Was there any exploration about the bar or about being a barrister, especially in family law?
It's actually, I should have mentioned, all I knew it's either solicitor or barrister.
Yeah.
I did not know any other ways to practice law. Again, it was because I did not, I think it was more of lack of awareness or lack of
Right.
information and not having friends or
Right.
people that you can go and ask questions. Although when you're a law student, you always talk to
Yeah.
your fellow students, but I knew lots of students were in the same.
To be completely fair, most students doing the GDL, doing law in general, do tend to want to be solicitors. That's just the proportion. So you tend to hear about it an extreme amount more than the bar course. I think my first year here, I barely heard about the bar. We were given one announcement at the start of my first year where it was like, here's two societies, the Law Society and the Bar Society. And everyone went to the Law Society, and then no one even spoke about the bar till second year, where they held like one competition all year. So it's a growing process, but it is something that does need to be covered a lot more.
For sure. But you've left a strictly legal career behind in a way, haven't you? So how was that decision made, and how's that worked out for you?
It was, I would not say I left legal career completely because I'm magistrate, and I always had this itch that I needed to scratch. There was something missing again because I've spent so much time in my previous life working in court environment. I always had this,
Were you drawn to the court system?
yes.
Always.
But knowledge I've gained, it was never really lost. I thought it was, but when I'm reflecting back, every job I had since, there's always some ways, you always touch some guidance, some regulations. Now in my current job, I have to read contracts. It's as legal as it can get. So there is, and best thing is, I no longer feel attached to this. Or if I'm not a lawyer, who am I? So I don't have this anymore.
So this idea of the solicitor barrister route being the only
It
route
was
is
very
illusionary.
binary.
Yeah.
That's why I agreed when you asked me to come. I really want to share. It's not just as a barrister or solicitor. There are so many other routes you can explore. Can I just ask very quick questions? How many of you managed to secure training contract.
A lot of them are in their second years or first years of uni. So what ends up being is they don't really try to apply till their third years.
Okay, until third year.
Some students do apply in the second years, and I do know a few people that have got training contracts in second years. But most of the time it ends up being third year students that apply, and I believe I am the only third year sitting here.
Yeah.
So
So you
Yes.
still
Yeah. So early days, but
early days.
but yeah.
So you're a magistrate now,
I am.
and do you feel that is where you wanted to end up at the end of the day as a magistrate now with going through everything?
I love being magistrate for a number of reasons. First is feels like I can give back to community, and when I started being magistrate and sitting, it's such an eye-opening experience. And if you've never, it's open to public criminal cases. If you've never done, I can't recommend. Just go and spend a few hours and sit in public gallery and observe. It's decision-making skills. You learn structured, and big thing is self-awareness, and every single story. And Bron, when you observed some of the hearings, there is always story behind the story. So it is just fascinating. It's really hard to explain. You have to experience.
I was very impressed when I went to the magistrates' court. I thoroughly enjoyed observing. But the thing about it is the magistrates, you don't get paid for, so that's not your paid work, is it? So you're doing that, out of the passion for the job, but your day job is something else. Yeah. So could you tell us a little bit about your day job as well?
My day job at the moment, which I only started last month, I'm a commercial manager. To explain in very simple way, is essentially responsible for buying and outsourcing, finding suppliers to deliver services for Ministry of Justice, and we do have lots of services we do. It's outsourced, so it is again touch regulations. There is a Procurement Act. Make sure you follow its transparency, fairness. So you still have this exposure with rules and regulations. And I work on compressed hours, so I do my full hours for 4 days, and I use my Mondays, which is my non-working days, to sit as a magistrate. So yes, it's busy life, but I do it because I enjoy. It's intrinsic. I don't do it because I have to. Otherwise, being a magistrate it's not only time consuming, it's very emotional, because you hear all these stories and you have to make decisions, and it can be quite challenging. So you have to enjoy some elements, otherwise you won't be able to do. And I know magistrates who've been doing 20 plus years, so it is quite rewarding, and it's something else you can consider. If you're interested, you can be magistrate from age of 18.
Yep.
So yeah.
Something that impressed me in the magistrates' court actually was the way in which all the different members of the court work together to get the best result. I don't know if that's a fair comment.
Yes, it's something else. You learn how to work with complete strangers that you've never met before and you probably never see again, and you have to work together to agree with decision. So yeah, it's
Natia, you've been a lawyer in Georgia. You've come here. You've explored your options of the legal field here, and you decided to eventually be a magistrate. So a lot of students here, they might be first years just starting off their legal journey. They might be second years looking into their third years to see where they're going. Some might want to be barristers, others solicitors here. What advice would you give them in general related to the legal field as they approach the starting point of their careers?
What advice I would give you guys is, firstly, if you want to be solicitor, fine, but spend some time, do some work experience. Same with barrister. See if it is really what you want to do. Second is be more open with your options. Have you ever considered being a legal advisor? How many of you know that what you need to do to be a legal advisor? I did not know, I had no idea.
I have no
Legal
idea.
advisors are the ones who advise magistrates on a law. So if you go on government websites, there is, I believe, they always advertise roles, but at the moment they have 4 legal advisors and 4 trainee legal advisors roles advertised. For trainee, you need to have just law degree and qualifications, but for legal advisor, you need to have training contract.
Okay.
But have a look and just see, it might be something you want to explore. Another thing I wish I knew when I was so obsessed about training contract is legal aid. They do legal aid applications, and there's lots of legal firms who have contract with legal aid. So why don't you try to apply legal aid as a caseworker? You learn how to process legal aid applications, and then you start targeting those solicitors firms who have legal aid contract, and I can guarantee that you can leverage your knowledge and experience, so because you will be as a side helping them to submit.
I'm guessing that works with barristers as well, especially in family, if you try to do cases, legal aid cases.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. So nothing is lost. Every experience you can just be more adventurous and be open to try different things and see which one works. And another thing, another advice, again based on my personal experiences, everything we do comes with a cost. Everything worthwhile we pursue has some price attached. Identify what is it, whether it's long hours, whatever it might be, sacrifice your social life because you have to do something else. Whatever this price is, you have to pay to get where you want to be and be prepared to pay.
And do you think that you have the right balance in your life? Have you managed to achieve the balance?
I try to. However, it's difficult because if I'm not busy, I will go and start looking for something else to do. Yes, I feel sometimes guilty. I probably should have spent more time with my family. But
Natia is one of the most overqualified people I know, in the sense that you know when you have a spare time, you do another degree. Am I not?
yeah. It's.
Hmm.
But again, I enjoy, and it's curiosity.
So, what's your favorite part then about your overarching job, whether it be magistrate or commercial manager at the CPS?
I would probably say magistrate
Okay.
at the moment, and I don't think it will change anytime soon because I love it.
Yeah.
If you asked me a couple months ago, before I started my commercial manager's role, I was line managing people management. I would have probably said people management,
Okay.
and impact you can have.
So your career, for the most part, especially in England, is driven by how much impact you could bring to the environment in terms of good, and that's what's brought you down the magistrate pathway,
Yes.
right? Is the magistrate an end goal? Is commercial management at the CPS an end goal, or is there another stepping stone that you want to take?
At the moment, I am doing a CIPS qualification, which is Chartered Institute of Procurement and Supply,
Okay.
and I'm halfway through. So I know I will be busy in another year and a half.
Hmm.
So then I will probably start thinking
Okay.
something else.
But the magistrate right now is the most exciting for you, the most.
It is most exciting because it's constantly learning new things. You
Okay.
never get to the point when you can say, oh, I know what I'm doing, because
Right,
again,
okay.
things constantly change.
Do you see any trends currently or any challenges that the legal industry is facing as a magistrate or as
I
a
would say
as part of
yes.
CPS?
Biggest challenge is, and you guys probably heard this in news, court backlogs.
Yes.
And I do believe, as a magistrate, is justice delayed, is justice denied. It's not fair for victims, it's not fair for defendants when
Right.
you have to wait, whatever time you have to wait to see the justice. So I see it's biggest problem.
I mean, recently David Lammy had a proposal for the judiciary where I think it's under 3 years of imprisonment. It would go to a judge and they can't ask for a jury trial, effectively removing their right of a jury trial for any offence. What is your views on it as a magistrate?
I get the point because you want to speed up the trial and reduce backlog, but at the same time, you just need to be careful. Jury trial is jury trial for a reason, and we had this since Magna Carta, so there is, and it survived so long. One thing I would say is you cannot just look justice system and say let's focus on prison population because prisons are
Overcrowded, yeah, of course.
overcrowded, or let's focus on we need more community orders. You have to look entire system as a whole
Mhm.
because there are so many interdependencies.
Yeah, of course.
I know there's a big campaign now, we want to recruit more magistrates, but if you don't have enough legal advisors, if you don't have enough prosecutors, no point focusing on just one
Do you
side.
do you find magistrates to be almost a halfway point between a jury and a judge, so that there's, because magistrates for the most part are not legally trained
Yes, they're lay
professions
people,
as
yeah.
you are. They are everyday people. I have a friend, he's 20, right? He has no business being a magistrate, yet he is. But I mean, he has a law degree, well, he's doing one, but most people don't even have a law degree.
no, you don't need to.
So do you find that maybe a halfway point would be, well, magistrates, they're kind of like your peers, but a little bit more legally trained now because they have the advisors?
Yes, it's. I mean, you still have legal advisor, so
Yep.
make sure you follow the
Sentencing
laws,
and guidance,
sentencing
of
and
course.
right laws. But I think that historically,
Yeah.
magistrates, and again, this is the picture I had in my head, is retired people
Right.
who just have all this free time. But now there's more focus on diversity and having more
Yeah.
young people.
So actually, it's a really good thing to
Yeah.
have
Diversity.
a wider selection of people being magistrates. What would you say are the main qualities that they're looking for if somebody does think that they might be suitable to be a magistrate and wants to go down that route?
It's all the main qualities is all about down to personality, and I mean I always say we all have bias. It's not whether we have bias, but how many and how deep. But it's self-awareness, how self-aware you are that you have bias and what you're doing.
You mentioned earlier that most of the magistrates tend to be people retired. There's been a push for younger people. But as a result of that, do you see certain trends of bias in the magistrates' courts?
Sorry, could you repeat the
Yeah,
question?
of course.
Yeah.
So you mentioned earlier that there's more people in the magistrates that are retired. So as a result of age
Yeah.
and a result of people, some may argue coming from an entirely different era, they may not understand the modern day, well, the kid, not a modern day person, but a 20-year-old, a 25-year-old. So do you find some biased trends because of this in the magistrate courts?
Yes, to some degree, because they've been doing this so long. There is a tendency when you're doing something for 20 odd years that I know better.
Yeah.
But then you have some newly appointed magistrate says, I think we should consider this.
Mm-hmm.
So again, being one of the first things they tell you when you are on training as a new magistrate is you have equal voice. Do not be afraid to question. But again, it comes, it's why you are a magistrate. I always remind myself I'm not there to be just a number. I'm there to have impact because you are impacting someone else's lives. You make decisions.
How do you control that bias? Those internal biases that do exist no matter who you are.
Yeah.
You will have some sort of bias for certain things. So how do you make sure that it's not affecting your judgment?
Sentencing guidelines helps because you have this structure, and again there could be a tendency if you've been doing a long time, let's skip and I know exactly, go straight to the sentence.
Yeah.
But make sure you follow steps, you consider culpability, harm, if there's any mitigation, every step you consider to get to the decision. And also I always ask myself what else is missing, and having these discussions with there is a reason why you have 3 magistrates, so you can have this discussion. Otherwise you will just have one person. So yes, it is constant practice. It's not once you do your training and that's it.
It's over.
I'm
You have
free,
to keep learning.
I'm happy days. I know what
Keep
I'm
growing.
doing. No, it's constantly checking, and again, it's down to self-awareness.
I just want to give our audience an opportunity to just ask any questions they do have to Natia.
I think my question was more on balance. I've been asking this question quite a lot recently. It's like, how have you found your life balance? Because I want to be a biased person in the election into politics, but I'm quite big on family life. Like, do you find it okay to balance, or do you feel like you have had to sort of give up some of that family life balance for the work?
Shall I just paraphrase that just for the recording? Say, this question is about that work-life balance. Just to how do you achieve it, Natia?
How I achieve work-life balance. I don't know how well I'm doing, but I can tell you what I'm doing. I'm doing yoga. I've been doing it for years now, and I think it helps. I'm also doing running first thing in the morning, because I know if I don't do it first thing in the morning, then it's never going to
So you get the
happen.
runner's high.
Yes, these two things that really helps me go out, have some fresh air, and just think to clear my head. Yes, it is hard, but again, if it is something you really enjoy doing, you will find the time to do it. But just remember to take breaks and have this balance, whatever it might be.
I think just to piggyback off that, do you then have any regrets along the way?
Any regrets?
Regrets, yeah.
I do. I always have this feeling that I don't spend enough time with my family. I'm always busy. It's not good enough. It will be another time, and another time there's always something else comes. So I have this regret that I need to get my balance.
More hours on the
It's-
clock. 26-hour days.
Yes, I know it's, but I'm work in progress. So
Constantly learning.
constantly learning. Yeah, I can't check off this curiosity that.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very, very much indeed, Natia, for sharing your story. Gil, do you have any last question?
I'm just looking through.
Yeah. Well, I was just wondering, what would you like to be remembered for?
I want my legacy to be my girls. Look back and say, I've done something right. I want them to be proud of me and say, I want to be a role model. That's it. It doesn't matter how many qualifications you have and what else you've done. Just
I think that's a good segue to our last question, which will be, what would you tell yourself if you were 9 years old? Or maybe 12 or 13 when you were clinging to the law then and there, as so many of us do from a very young age. I wanted to be a lawyer since I was 15 years old. I've been running at it at full speed since. So what would you tell your younger self?
What would I tell my younger self is there's always going to be naysayers who will say, you can't do this, it's too much, it's not for you, and you can't control this. So what I'll tell my younger self is just do what you are passionate about and do it well. Because you can always control how you feel and what you do about. Just control what you can control.
Thank you, Natia, for giving your time here away from your family again. But it's been helpful and insightful to have a view into your life and also a different career path altogether in the legal field. There's so many of us that look at law school and think, well, there's 3 routes to life. There's academics, there's the barrister route, there's a solicitor route, and there's nothing in between. Anything else is a stepping stone in the way. So really put some perspective on our views.
Thank you.
Thank you.